founder of the Rainbird Foundation, and people ask me all the time, so how did you meet Hanna and what happened? And when Hanna first told me that she wanted to start an organization committed to the end of child abuse, I said, of course, of course. And any of you that know Hanna know that there's no saying no to Hanna, ever. Because she'll relentlessly ask, and she'll relentlessly ask, because she's relentlessly committed to the end of child abuse. And I've never met anyone like her with a commitment and a passion and a drive that's so focused and so intense and so intensely personal and so intensely public. She's my inspiration every day. This is Hanna Roth.
It's so nice to see you all here today. It's been a dream of mine for over 20 years. I am so grateful to have all of you as my partners. Thank you for being here today. We've entered a new era. It began with the acknowledgement that child abuse is a condition that we will no longer tolerate. The era began quietly. There was no fanfare, no ticker tape parades, just a small group of individuals across the planet confronting this reality and finding one word for it: unacceptable. 2 years and thousands of people later, the seemingly inconsequential act of taking a stand for the end of child abuse has reverberated across this country and around the planet. There is now an organization or a person on the planet committed to the end of every form of child abuse. Once missing, the will to end child abuse has been found. People around the world are stepping out of the comfort and the safety and security of prevention and moving into the uncharted territory of the end. People like Josh Jasper and Carly Rippey. People like Sunitha Krishnan, who saves children daily from sexual trafficking and works with big business, nonprofits, and the government of India to end sexual trafficking and slavery in India once and for all. People like Andrew Vax, a pioneer of children's rights for over 40 years and a founding member of Protect, an organization that reforms children's legal rights across America. I was a girl when I first read an article by Andrew. It was in the Sunday Times. It was in the parade section. I'll never forget this. It came at a moment in my life when I wanted to quit. I just couldn't take anymore. And I remember sitting on that sofa, absorbing his words, thinking, my God, there is a grown-up who cares. And if he can fight for me, I can stay alive. There are other people too. People like 9-year-old Ella, who built the largest team here today of, I believe, 40 people. People like you who took a stand or built teams or asked for money from people and in so doing expanded the commitment to the end. People like a woman I recently met whose daughter's friend was being beaten. So this woman went to that home, took that child out, and called the police to intervene. This is what we must all do to end child abuse, but most of us don't. Why? At our best, we live in a time of extraordinary questioning and innovation. But at our worst, we live in domesticated despair and institutionalized apathy. We're used to heartbreak. We're comfortable with rage and disappointment. This condition is as pervasive as the air and as invisible. It is at the heart of the persistence of child abuse. The condition wasn't built by you and me. We're not at fault for it. But when we engage in it, we perpetuate it. In this condition, we think that child abuse can't end. 4 children died in Madison in July. But for some of us, the outrage was gone within hours, and the children were all but a memory by the weekend. In this condition, there are corporations that give hundreds of thousands of dollars to children's causes and use children for slave labor, and we buy their products. In this condition, some of our nonprofits denigrate each other, acting like competition rather than allies, which keeps us all from building partnerships to effectively eradicate child abuse and domestic violence. In this condition, we hear a child scream, or we know that a child is in trouble, and we do nothing. Yet, if I ask any one of you, no one wants child abuse to continue, and we all have good reasons. You may be as fed up as I am. You may be outraged. You may be unwilling to vote for another politician who says that children are our future while he cuts funding for children's services. But whatever your reason is, it will never be as powerful as the simple, undeniable, it is time. I've seen people get worked up and inspired to do something, only to be broken by their first failure. I've heard people's outrage at news reports, but the outrage is gone by morning. But when it's time for something to end, it's time. Why? Because we say so. No emotions to deflate, no passion to fizzle, no getting revved up one day only to be deflated the next. Nothing can stop us. Nothing can be taken from us. It is time relies on nothing to exist, to include our failures, so we can learn from our failures rather than being broken by them. And our failures can contribute to the end. It is time is irrefutable and all-powerful. Without knowing how to do it, without proper funding, without evidence to support it, it is time. Why? Because we say so. Standing for the end of child abuse may seem simplistic, but this single act requires the courage to risk looking idealistic or unrealistic. It demands the strength to engage with an issue that we don't yet know how to solve. It demands the wisdom to trade in our inherent commitment to looking good for a commitment to making a difference. It forces us to live generously with those that we've previously excluded and to find time where there seems to be none. And it exacts honesty, because only honesty has the power to produce the end. But in exchange, we access a power previously unimaginable. We gain freedom from the tentacles of shame. We unleash innovation beyond our wildest dreams, and we gain strength from true alliances with others who have also invested their lives in the end of child abuse. In this era, those committed to the end know that nothing will end, not in this lifetime or the next, without partnership. For us, partnership isn't corporate rhetoric. We know no one can do this alone. We know that timely communication is critical. We know that the eradication of child abuse is greater than any single organization. We know that our truest measure of effectiveness is the day that we go out of existence as a result of a lack of need rather than a lack of funding. What do I mean by partnership? When you give time to an organization committed to the end, or you intervene when a child is being abused, when you become a foster parent or build a project for the community or become a big brother or sister to a child who's alone, when you raise money or give money or create a phone tree to educate others, when you learn about laws that hurt our children and you start a petition to make your politician change that law, when you educate the press about a hole in the system, or you help 2 nonprofits join forces to reduce the burden and redundancy, when you listen to a child tell you that he is being hurt and you do something about it, in all of these ways and more, you become a partner for the end. I remember the day that my parents stopped closing the windows when they beat us. They knew that no one would stop them. I remember hoping that someone would save us, but no one did. Maybe our neighbors thought that someone else would do it. Maybe they knew that it couldn't end in the very same way that people once knew that the world was flat. We can't afford to live that way any longer. We don't have the luxury of time. Our some days are spent. Our tomorrows are behind us. It is time to intervene. It is time to destroy the invisible walls that we have built and join forces with the world. This is not just my hope. This is our promise to our children and our obligation to their future. Together, we will fail, and we'll learn from every failure the same way we learned from every failure that finally put a man on the moon. However, divided, we will fail not just another child or a generation. We'll fail our planet. Thousands have committed to the end of child abuse. Hundreds of thousands more will. What can hundreds of thousands of aligned people do to end child abuse? We don't know. And any attempt to answer that will limit the miracles to come. But 100 years from now, when we look back at how child abuse ended, it won't look like a miracle. We will know exactly how it happened. We will point to critical events and moments in time and see the connections between what we did and what unfolded. Attitudes will disappear. Social conditions will improve. Systems will be replaced. Social commerce will alter, and laws will change, all of which will result in the end of child abuse that only for the moment looks like a miracle. The end of child abuse won't happen because of nonprofits or governments or the media. The end of child abuse will happen because of you and me, not because we're forced to or because we're made to feel bad or guilty, but because ending child abuse is true to who we are as human beings, to stand for the end and say, enough. It is time. Thank you.